happening. But especially with Hannah and Steve, you guys jump in, you're spellcasters, so or well, sorry, not so much Steve, but the two of you, feel free to ask me if something could work. Let me know if you want to try something that sounds crazy, because hell, it is D&D. It's crazy anyway. Role playing. As the initialism RPG states, D&D is a role playing game. Role playing, I expect you to try your best to role play your character. I understand that other people's styles differ from one another. I love getting into character, doing voices, and acting out what my characters are doing. Actually, this is in full reference to Smith. I have a close friend that plays in my IRL game that doesn't necessarily like to do voice and prefers to simply state what they do, and that's fine. Smith's role playing style is different from mine, and I'm 100% fine with that. If you do what you feel comfortable with. You don't have to go above and beyond if it makes you uncomfortable. Number 4, meta. Try and avoid using out of game information to affect a decision you would make in game. It's like, oh yeah, I know the goblin stat block. They only have a 15 AC, so we don't have to worry about anything. Use Tome Smith knows that very well. Everyone else, who I've been playing with should know that. I like to experiment. I like to try different things. So if you're on one of the community sites or wherever, and you find something that sounds cool and you want to, explore it in game, send it to me. I'll definitely take a look. Finally, focus. When we're playing, it's very common to get distracted, and like I said, maybe the wizard's taking too long to pick a spell. Maybe the bard's talking up a local lord, and you're simply waiting for the results. Just try and give everyone the same respect that you would want in return. Beyond that, I have some house rules. My inspiration system is a little bit different. If you do something that I feel you are role playing in character very well, I will have you roll a 6-sided die. You add that amount of points to this particular pool that you have, and then you can use those points to add to a roll that you make. So this way, there's a little more versatility in it. I use a flanking roll, which probably get exploited fairly quickly, and it will be explained. But basically, if you and ally are on different cardinal directions opposing an enemy, so if Vanadar and Zash are on the north and eastern side of a monster, they each get a +1 to attack. It's basically they are distracting the enemy for one another, so they get a little bit easier to hit. Other than that, really the big ones. I also do criticals differently. In D&D, the normal critical is that when you roll a natural 20, you would roll the damage die twice, or you would double your damage die. I do it that you get the maximum of whatever your die roll would be. So if, for example, Zash gets a critical, he rolls a 1d6 and a 1d4 because of his bracers. So if he would get a critical, instead of rolling 2d6 and 2d4, he rolls 1d6, 1d4, and automatically gets 10 from the maximum of the 6, maximum of the 4. Yeah. We'll go over rolls. Obviously, as they come up, Hannah, I think being probably like Hannah Steve being the, the newest to the system, and to everything else, will be probably the biggest, like sticking point, where, we'll take time. It's a game, it's meant to try and enjoy and have fun. But beyond that, real quick, before we get started and I read the recap, why don't you guys introduce your characters? We will start, just because I'm looking at my screen on here. We'll go alphabetical. And we'll start with Albina.
What did you say?
I'm not entirely sure what you said there, Lucas.
He said he wants everybody to introduce their characters and starting alphabetically.
Introduce your character, Hannah.
Okay.
You guys hear me okay?
No,
you're kind of cutting in and out.
It's it's because your bandwidth's being spread pretty thin. It's pretty choppy.
Okay.
So Albina is a fire genasi. I don't know the map well, how to explain where she's from. But
the main thing is your name, your race, and your class. And any particular small detail that you might want to just explain. I mean, obviously, don't give your whole backstory. Let that be told through you playing her.
Oh, okay, good. I was about to do that. So she's a fire genasi war cleric. And is that everything?
What god do you worship?
Tempest. Tempest is my god.
Yep. You know what I'm thinking? I may be better off if I disconnect my voice on here and we just use your phone.
I was going to suggest
just for both of our voice.
Which, if there is an echo, I can put my headset on.
Oh god. Hold on.
That way, I feel bad because the webcam is.
Alright, you guys hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll just use Smith's phone just because it's gonna be a hell of a lot easier to do it with one mic. Yep. Alright, so yeah, next up, Steve, why don't you introduce your character?
Oh, we're going alphabetical.
Are we? Oh yeah, he would because his name is Sectus.
Oh, I see how it is.
You there, Steve? I don't think
right.
Steve. Oh, there you go.
My character is a Septis, yeah. He's a warforged barbarian. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, that is a ton of that.
What, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
I can hear you.
It's a little laggy, but I can.
Alright, as long as you guys. All good.
All right, can you hear us, Steve?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Sorry. We just had a little bit of lag on our side. So go ahead and introduce your character.
Okay. My character's name is Septis. He's a warforged barbarian. He's quite angry, pretty much. He's basically seeking revenge for travesties in his past, and it involves something that flies in the sky. So, yeah, that's who he is.
All right.
Okay. Another dragon willed into the universe.
Yep. All right, and Smith, why don't you go and introduce yours?
My name is Smith. I'm a high elf wizard, evocation wizard. That's about it.
You said your evocation?
Yep.
Okay. Dope.
So, what I am going to do is so what I'm going to do is just to get this, just to get the other players up to you guys, I'm going to do a quick encounter with these three, and then we'll jump in to where the two groups meet up. So, what's that? If you want to go with the other trip, you can. All right. So, Albina, Septis, and Smith. The three of you have been traveling now together for a few weeks. You all came from a little bit further north of where Phandalin is located, and you all came together under a similar desire to go and deal with this white dragon. Now, Septis and Albina, you obviously have personal reasons to go after it. Smith's character is he is actually a scholar who is studying the elemental planes of fire, and that's actually one of the reasons why he was sort of drawn to Albina and her connection, and also Septis. So you heard about this white dragon besieging an area down south, and Albina and Septis, you have your reasons to want to go after it. So the three of you set out together to head down there and find out what was going on. And along the way, you eventually reached the town of Phandalin. And when you arrived there, you went and you talked to the town master, Harbin Wester, and he informed you that there was another group of adventurers who have already been there, who have been attending to this issue. He tells you that there's three of them, and then he sort of pauses, and he says, well, maybe there was five of them, but no, I'm pretty sure it was only three. And he says, if you want to go and find them and help them, they went down to this fortress known as Axholm. And so the three of you began making your way south that direction when you were caught off guard by a group of goblins. So, everybody roll initiative. Well, sorry, the three of you. Hannah, what you're going to do is on your character sheet. That's just going to tell you what it was. On your character sheet, you're going to see there is a square that says proficiency bonus, and right underneath that, it's going to say initiative, and you can actually click that initiative number, and it'll roll it up for you.
Why is it not rolling actual dice for me?
Because I have the one. Motherfucker.
It's just an
You said proficiency bonus?
So where it says initiative, that's what you want to click. Right underneath where it says proficiency bonus.
Hmm.
You see where it says that?
There's like a hexagon to the right with a +1.
Oh yeah, does it say initiative above that?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Click that number and it should roll the dice for you.
Oh, okay. 3 + 1, it says 4.
Okay.
My camera's like in the way of it, sorry.
Oh, good. Alright, so what did you get, Smith? You
17.
17. And Steve, what did you get?
I got a 9.
A 9? Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. So top of the order is going to be Smith.
How many goblins are there?
There are 6 of them.
Nice. Let's see. What kind of weapons are they wielding? Are they all wielding the same kind of weapon?
So you guys basically, as you were marching through here, you actually came upon them. They were a little surprised. It seems as if they are going either hunting or raiding. So 2 of them have bows. Number 3 and 4 in the center, and 1, 2, 5, and 6 all have clubs. And it seemed like you neither one of you caught each other off guard.
I'll use a fire chromatic orb
Okay.
on. They numbered?
Yeah, there.
Let's see here.
Is it fun?
Yeah. Yeah, this will be a lot better next week. We'll probably end up playing on Tuesday, because if this is how bad it is over whenever I have internet, it's going to be far worse if I'm trying to play this while driving. So if we're aiming for late Tuesday...
You're playing while driving?
Well, Kaylee would have been driving. What's the
We're gonna go with G1. That would be 20. Is that a nat 20? That would be a nat 20, right?
That is a nat 20.
Okay.
And what's the deal with that spell?
It's just an orb of fire. You can choose an element.
Oh, okay. Alright. So who are you attacking?
G1.
D1. Alright, I'm gonna say since you had that critical, you don't even have to roll the damage because you automatically deal 24 points of damage with a critical. So G1 is, and what was the element you said? Fire?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see G1 is just completely obliterated.
Yes.
Up next is going to be Septus. You hear me, Steve?
Something, I keep getting booted. Alright. You hear me now?
Yes.
Alright.
So,
I'll be okay. Thank you.
all right, Steve, it's your turn. There are 5 goblins in front of you.
Alright. I guess I'll just do an attack then.
Okay.
Can't quite see the numbers on my screen. It's tiny. Let's go for what did Smith attack? Which guy?
Smith attacked and killed number 1 on the left.
Oh,
So
I see.
Yeah, there is
He's
still
black.
3. Yeah, there's still 3 with clubs, 2 with bows. The bows are aimed in your direction.
Yeah. 2 in the middle.
I guess I'll go for one in the middle with the bows then. Can I do like a rage attack with as like a bonus action? Is that right?
Yeah. Your rage is a bonus action, and then you can attack as your action.
All right, so I'll attack G4 for now.
Okay. So what you're going to do is on your character sheet, on your actions tab, you should see a.
Oh, okay, I've got it.
Yeah. So you're going to hit that +5 and tell me what you rolled.
I've got a 9.
A 9? So
Yeah.
unfortunately, that misses. I think that's pretty much. Your turn. But you still have your rage going for the next 10 rounds. But it is the Goblins' turn. This one is going to run up to you, Septis, and he is going to hit you with his club. That hits, but because you are raging, you currently have resistance to bludgeoning damage, so you only take 2 points of damage. The two that are in front of you are going to try and move back away from you because they have their bows. You're going to get an opportunity attack, so go ahead and make an attack for me.
Okay. Oh, man. 7.
So unfortunately, that misses. They, like I said, they are going to move back and are going to. The one is going to shoot an arrow at Smith, and that just hits. Smith, you're going to take 3 points of damage.
Hold on.
Oh, you got something?
Yep.
Okay.
Gloves and missile snaring.
Oh, that's right. That was your magic item.
It's a 1d10 plus your dex modifier, which is +3, so I can automatically catch it.
All right. Yeah. So Smith using his. Yeah, he has. So Smith's magic item was the gloves of missile snaring. So he's able to sort of do what a monk does and grab projectiles out of the air. So yeah, you grab the arrow and just throw it to the side. This other one is going to shoot at Septis, and that hits. And you are going to take 2 more points of damage. All right. And these two are going to move up, and now that they are flanking you, they're going to have some bonuses. That's a hit. Jesus Christ. Okay, that is going to be a miss. So Septis, you're going to take 1 more point of damage. And just so you know, make sure that you keep track of your hit points in the upper right corner of your character sheet.
Okay, damage and okay.
Yep. Yeah, current max. So Septis is currently at 40 out of 45.
I'm gonna 22.
Yeah, no, you have 22. Also, keep in mind, Tony is pretty good at tracking hit points. He often does that for the group as well. So we got a couple places where it's monitored. And now it's going to be Albina's turn. So you basically saw, these Septis run up and just get surrounded by these goblins. Smith grabbing that arrow out of midair and destroying the one. It is your turn.
And I go to actions now?
Yeah, so right now, what you can do is you have enough movement that you could move up to one of the goblins, and you could attack. You could cast a spell. So, you could cast any one of your spells, whatever you would want to do.
Now my Goblin's Bane, it says 5-foot range, and hit DC would be +4.
Right.
1d8
So
+2.
yeah. So basically, if you wanted to move up to one of these goblins and attack them with Goblin's Bane, what you would do is you would click that +4, and if it beats the armor class of the goblin, then you would roll your damage.
An armor class of the... Where's that located?
So that is located on my side of things. So normally I will not tell you guys what the armor class is.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want to run up and attack it with your Goblin's Bane, just roll that +4.
18.
Okay, yeah, that hits. So go ahead and roll 1d8 + 2, because that's your damage.
Ooh.
Yeah, so right to the right of that +4, it has that 1d8 + 2.
So I hit the slashing?
Yeah, you're gonna click right where it has the 1d. Yeah.
I don't know what I did. I put wielding. What happened?
What'd you roll?
I don't know. I hit wielding. I don't know why. It
Oh,
took me
just
anything.
right where it has the 1d8, click that button and it'll roll it for you. Just like the +4 to hit.
Uh-oh, I think I removed my...
Oh, that's fine. Just go back to your equipment. Go to your equipment tab and click the little box next to Goblin's Bane.
Oh, okay, there we go.
And then when you go back to the actions, just click the box next to the +4 that says 1d8 + 2.
Okay, oh, there it rolled now. I don't know what I did earlier. So 8 + 2 is, it says 10 damage.
All right. So you rolled max damage. And yeah, you I'm gonna let you do this. Go ahead and describe your kill. You one-shot this thing.
Yeah, so she jumps up and flips behind him and she cuts his neck open.
All right. So now what I want you to do, click where it says Goblin's Bane, and you see how you have 3 charges under where it says Weapon Battle Axe?
Mhm.
Go ahead and click one of those, because that is going to now, because you are fighting a goblin, your sword is, whenever you slay a goblinoid with an attack using the axe, its soul is imprisoned inside of it, and it can hold up to a maximum of 3. So now, when you attack, your weapon is going to deal an extra 1d8 of necrotic damage.
Okay, so under charges, I click that one.
Right,
No.
because if you want to, like your weapon says, you can also use a bonus action to absorb the soul and regain 1d6 hit points.
Pretty cool.
Huh?
Pretty cool.
Yeah. She wanted something that was like the Skyrim.
Yeah, I wanted to, like, my soul siphon in Skyrim. So.
Yeah. So, all right. So that is going to be the end of your turn. Unless you want to do something as a bonus action, you can do that. So, for example, you could use your War Priest ability, which is when you use the attack action, you can make 1 weapon attack as a bonus action. You could also cast your spiritual weapon, which would allow you to create a spectral weapon somewhere within 60 feet of you that would make an attack as well.
So this would be like an extra, my spiritual weapon?
Right.
How would that work?
So basically so on your turn, you can do 1 action, you can do a bonus action, and then you can move up to your movement. So you moved 25 feet. Your action was to attack, which you killed one of the goblins, and now you can use your bonus action to do, you could cast spiritual weapon, which conjures up a spectral weapon that you can command to attack. You could also move forward another 5 feet, stepping on top of the corpse of the dead goblin that you eviscerated, and activate your War Priest ability, which would allow you to just make another attack with your weapon. So it's up to you what you want to do.
I think. Can I attack the one that's in front of what's his name?
Cephas?
Cephas? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you want to use your War Priest ability, what you're going to do is you're going to scroll down in your actions, and you're going to find where it says bonus actions and then War Priest, and you're going to click one of those buttons on there, because that's going to show that you've used up one of that ability. You see where that is?
Yeah, I went to bonus actions and then I clicked limited. It says limited use, and there's 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. All right, and now you're going to go back up and click that +4 for Goblin's Bane again.
$13. So 17.
All right. So you rolled a 13 and you got a 17. All right, yeah, that hits. You got to roll your damage again.
Oh, it's only 4.
Well, keep in mind you get to roll an extra D8. So in the bottom left-hand screen of your corner, you should see a little D20.
Yeah.
Click that and click the die that's like.
Oh, D8. Yeah.
Yep. And then go ahead and roll that.
5.
All right, so that's 9 points of damage total. And you handily kill that one. And I get his soul. And you get his soul. Go ahead and charge as well.
Good.
All right. We're back up to the top of the order. It is Smith's turn.
I'm going to go for G2.
Okay.
I think I'm just going to use a Firebolt.
Firebolt?
Nat 1, it looks like.
Oh, yeah, that's a nat 1. All right. So, unfortunately, Smith's attack sails wide. Cephas, it is back to you. There's still one more goblin that's next to you.
Yeah, I'll go for attacking G2.
Okay.
Good. Seriously? 8.
That is rough. I think right now it's like, I just think like Cephas, you're getting so much closer to the Sword Mountains. Your mind is probably so fixated on this white dragon that these goblins are just like nothing for you to even worry about. That you're just swinging with abandon. This
just cannon fodder right now. Just cannon fodder.
So Cephas, he is going to. I mean, he's basically just like bunking a stick off you. You take 2 more points of damage. But these 2 other ones now are going to take aim at Albina, seeing her just completely destroy and siphon out the souls of these 2. That's a miss. And that is a natural 20. So Albina, you are going to take 10 points of damage as the one just rails an arrow into your chest.
Oh my goodness.
But
wait.
Yes.
Don't I have my own mending?
Well, mending is a spell that can repair broken stuff. So basically, here's another thing. So if something happens on your turn, if something happens that is not on your turn but happens to you, on your actions, if you scroll down, you actually have a section that says reactions. If you have something in there that is like, you can do this thing if something happens,
that is where you would see you could do something. So, for example, Smith knows the spell Shield. If he is targeted by an attack, as a reaction, he can cast Shield, temporarily granting him a +5 to his armor class, as well as completely negating any damage from the spell Magic Missile. So unfortunately, right now, there's not anything that you could do to avoid this damage.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately.
That's okay.
But it is your turn, so you can definitely get your revenge.
Now, my goblin souls that I have, which I didn't get to add that in. I have to mark that down because I got that second one. How can I use those? Do those give me like extra hit, like attack, or?
So what that does is, as long as you have one soul, your weapon deals an extra 1d8 necrotic damage. But as a bonus action, you can absorb one of those souls and regain 1d6 hit points. So if you would like to regain, some hit points because you just took, a fairly large hit, you can get rid of one of those charges and roll that d6 in order to, gain up those hit points. Or you can just go with Reckless Abandon and just keep attacking.
So I didn't say I have to take off 10 from my hit points?
Yes, you are down to 25 hit points.
How do I click that? Oh, I see. Never mind. I was hitting the red button. Gotcha. 10 damage. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna. I have to roll if I want to attack him with my Goblin's Bane. I roll with my D8.
Well, tell me which one you're attacking first.
I want to go G4.
G4? I missed that TV. All right, so now you're going to roll that +4 because that's your ability to hit.
All right, 12, and it gave me extra 4, so 16.
Okay, so that just hits. So go ahead and roll your 2d8 plus 2. And again, you can roll 1d. You can click the button that's 1d8 plus 2, and then roll an additional d8.
Ooh, that one's only 3, and then I roll a d8. Okay.
Yep.
Ooh, no, only 5 total.
5 total. So
yeah, 2 and then a 3.
This one doesn't die, but you pretty much like cut a massive gouge through his chest. He's still standing though. It is back to the top of the order. Unless you want to do anything else, unless you want to use a bonus action.
Now, there's 2 bonus actions. I wasn't sure. The one says Forge Elemental Weapon.
So what you're looking at on your bonus actions, Forge Elemental Weapon is a spell that you can cast as a bonus action, and it creates an elemental weapon in your hand. Spiritual Weapon is very similar. You cast that spell as a bonus action, and then it becomes a spectral weapon that can attack. So yeah, because on yours, that's going to show you stuff that like has an effect. You'll also notice that you have spells like Divine Favor, Healing Word, Shield of Faith, Magic Weapon, as well. And then you have your War Priest ability, which is that one where you get to use a bonus action to make another attack.
Okay, so I can only do my Goblin's Bane or the War Priest, essentially?
Well, you could do both because when you you have an attack or you have an action which you use to attack just now. You always have one bonus action, so you can use up that ability and use another one of those limited uses to get that that extra attack.
Now, does this ever come back? Like,
yes.
This is like my.
You get those back whenever you rest for at least 8 hours.
Okay. I think I'm gonna let Smith handle this because I'm gonna just save some of my reinforcements for now.
Okay. Then we will go to the top of the order.
And then it already took off. I need to mark down. I used one of my goblin souls, right? Whenever I
No.
use
So
no.
You don't use a goblin soul whenever it deals the extra damage. It's just as long as you have one of those, you would only expend a soul if you're using it to regain hit points.
Gotcha. Okay, that's right. It's a D6. Okay, thanks.
Smith, top of the order.
Firebolt on G4.
Okay.
That's 14.
14. Without being standing right in front of it, you get the +1. So yes, that does hit.
Max damage 10.
Nice. Yeah. Thing to a crisp.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, accept this. Let's see this. Come on.
All right, I'm gonna get that G2 again. No, javelin. All right, 22.
Absolutely hits. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Nice.
Also,
Okay, no.
keep in mind, if you want to use that bonus fire damage on your weapon, you can use your bonus action before you attack in order to ignite it. So, did you want to do that?
No. The
No?
bonus.
It's a free action.
Yeah, it's a bonus
Oh,
action.
okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, turn that on then. Why not?
So go ahead and roll. So you're going to roll 3d6 plus 3.
Okay, that's a 9, I think.
All right. So go ahead and describe your kill.
I don't know. He's in range. One monk whoop, and he just clean cuts him in half. He's just eviscerated on the floor.
Yeah,
He just
Smith
stamps
and
his foot and squishes it down.
Yeah. For everyone else, basically, he has a greater, he has a lesser flame blade, a flame tongue great sword. So it doesn't do as much as the full flame tongue, but you know, this great sword that he's just hefting around ignites into flame, fueled by his own internal flame spirit, and just cut this goblin down. You see the last goblin beginning to run away into the trees. Albina, it's your turn.
Dare he tried to run away? Okay. Let's see. Now, how do I know how far? Like, if I wanted to like shoot flame.
So when we're actually back playing normally, you will actually be able to move your character around on the screen. But for right now, I can tell you that you are 40 feet away.
Because
So-
I see my spiritual weapon reaches 60 feet.
Correct. You can summon your spiritual weapon anywhere within 60 feet of you.
So then I would do the +5 first.
Yep. So
Roll that.
you would roll your +5.
And that's 14 total. And
So unfortunately, that is going to miss.
no. What is the 1d8 plus 3 next to that?
That is the damage that spiritual weapon does.
Oh.
Yeah. So basically, you.
But I
So
missed.
what is your spiritual weapon exactly? What does it look like?
It is a. So it's like not a physical weapon, but like can it be like a made out of flames essentially, or?
I mean, you can make it. I mean, you can make it look like it's like a burning sword if you want to.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Like a fiery greatsword.
Yeah. Yeah, sort of like the sword that's on the Shield of Tempest. It makes a lot of sense. All right,
Oh yeah,
so
that's right.
that is your bonus action. You still have a full action. Now, here's one of the things about being a spellcaster. So, spiritual weapon is a leveled spell. So you are only, if you want to cast another spell, you can only cast a cantrip. So if you look under your spells, you can cast Sacred Flame on that
Oh
goblin.
yeah, up to 60 feet.
Right. So if you want to cast that, let me know.
Yeah, I like that. It's a
So
1d8.
So you actually don't roll anything with this just yet because you'll notice with Sacred Flame, it doesn't have like a +5 or a +4. It says Dexterity 13. So if you ever want to cast that spell, let me know you're casting that, and then I will ask for your DC, which is the difficulty check. So I, as the goblin, need to roll at least a 13 or above in order to avoid this damage hurting him, which I rolled a 20. So unfortunately, it does no effect. But we are going to go to the top of the order. Smith, you can see this goblin beginning to run away.
Can I do it?
30.
Can I see it from where I am?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like barely obscured by bushes and rocks that are filling the area, but you still have sight of it.
He hasn't been damaged yet, has he?
He has not.
I'll use another 5 for medical work.
Okay.
Ugh. 8.
8 just misses. All right.
How do you?
Accept this. You can see this goblin is running away.
No, he's gonna escape.
I'm gonna have a crack at my longbow actually.
All right.
That's in range,
Go ahead.
Jack. It's not in range.
Yeah,
Okay.
you have 150-foot range. You're good on a longbow.
That's a 20.
That hits. Go ahead and roll the damage.
Nice.
3.
3.
Yeah.
He takes a meaty hit, but you only hit him in the shoulder. He sort of stumbles a little bit and rolls forward, but continues running. And as he does, he runs out of sight. So combat is over. Unfortunately, that one did get away. But you were able to defeat the rest of them. And yeah, this was more just an introduction combat. So, like I said, you guys were traveling down towards Axholm. What I want you to do is, so Steve and Hannah, you'll notice on your character sheets, if you scroll up, to the right of where your name is, there's a button that says Long Rest. You're going to click that, and you're going to click Take Long Rest. What that's going to do is that's going to restore any and all of your hit points. If you cast a leveled spell that used up a spell slot, it's going to restore that spell slot. For Steve or for Septis, it's going to restore one of your uses of Rage, and for Albina, it's going to restore that use of War Priest.
You were taking long rest?
You are taking a long rest, yes.
And then oh, sorry.
Oh no, it's good. Yeah, this has more to do with the fact that that right now, this is where you guys are going to be meeting up with the others, just outside of Axholm. So that is why I wanted you guys to long rest, just because we can do it now while I'm explaining that.
Take it and confirm. Okay. Oh, and
Yep.
it did restore my hit points.
Yes, so when you guys do a long rest, it restores basically everything. Now, you can also click the button that says short rest. When you do that, you have a number of hit die equal to the amount of levels that you are. So for Albina, clerics have a D8 for their hit die, and then you add 3 for your constitution. So what that means is a short rest is any amount of time that's like, an hour or two long where you're catching your breath, you're pausing to just gather yourself. You can use as many of those hit die as you want, up to however many you have, and you restore that amount. A long rest just gives you everything back, but takes at least 8 hours. So, like I said,
spells.
What's that?
We can't. When it comes to spells, we can't change those. We can only if we grow
Actually, because you are a cleric, you can. So every morning when you wake up, you are able to pray and change your spell list. Now, somebody like a bard or a warlock or a ranger can only change their spells when they level up. Smith, being a wizard, he does not have access to nearly the amount of spells that Albina has, but because he's a wizard, he can prepare different spells that he knows every morning or whenever he finishes a rest. Plus, the thing that wizards get is that if you guys find a spell scroll, he can copy that into his book. And then he'll be able to prepare that spell from then on out.
So my hold I'm thinking of that darn goblin that got away. My hold person spell couldn't have done anything because it says choose a humanoid.
No, that you would if I would have been letting combat continue, yes, you would have been able to cast that because a humanoid is pretty like a goblin is a humanoid. Okay. Basically, the only thing that makes it not a humanoid is if it's like a beast or an aberration or like a devil or something like that.
Mm-hmm. In the future, could I do hold? Could I cast that hold him and then use the Goblin's Bane when he can't escape, or
not on the same turn. So hold person is a spell that, and if you go into your spell list, it's hold person. That little black diamond means that it's a concentration. So you have to concentrate on that spell, which means you cannot cast another spell that requires concentration. And if you take damage while concentrating on it, you have to roll to see if you maintain that. But next to that, you see where it says 1A. That means that it requires 1 action to cast, whereas your spell Healing Word is 1 bonus action.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so if you have something that is a bonus action that is, an attack, that would be a cantrip, you could do that, but there isn't one. So you could cast Hold Person and then someone else can hit them. That's for sure a thing.
Okay. I should have frozen that darn creature.
Yeah, if that happens, then attacks against them are criticals if they're within 5 feet. So that is a good option. Okay, yeah. So, like I said, the 3 of you continue on down towards Axholm, and just as you reach the outside of this fortress, you come across the 3 other travelers that you were told about. Sitting around a campfire, you see a Tabaxi monk, an elven ranger, and a humanoid, a Kalashtar cleric. So Yeah, I'll leave it up to you guys. Go ahead and we'll play this scene.
So
And the
you said
mechanical spider.
Yes.
Sentry.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. There is also. My apologies. There is also a goblin wearing a wizard hat roaming around, which you can clearly tell is not the same goblin that escaped you moments ago. And you also see that there is a
Suspense. There's a something.
I thought it was just me.
what else is there?
My spider.
Is Zash the goblin?
No.
No.
Zash is the tabaxi monk.
Okay. Who's the goblin?
His name is
Igor, but we call him Iggy.
he's
He's
Zash.
just like a buddy.
Yeah, he's Zash's sidekick. We saved him and then a whole bunch of people. The other
I'm
people
his
didn't make
god.
it.
At least
Well,
Iggy
one
did.
of them ran off with the dragon. We never
Yo,
seen him again.
Which one was that? That was Lucas?
It was Lucas. Yeah,
Lucas
I forgot about that.
and disappeared.
Don't trust the Lucas.
Smith, you might have to reconnect, like disconnect and reconnect to the Phandalin 5 voice chat.
Oh yeah. I don't know if they might not know
Okay.
that we can't hear them.
Let me see
Yeah.
a message.
Babe, your camera is being weird. For me, at least.
Can't really do anything about it. Just what it is.
Oh,
Okay.
reboot. Oh, it came back.
Alright.
But it could
Sorry
just
about
be
that.
me.
Okay, no problem.
All right. So, yeah, what was the last thing you guys heard?
You were starting to
There was
explain
a
Iggy.
goblin.
Yeah. So Iggy looks over at you, Zash, and he says, "All right, boss. So, what's the plan? I mean, that thing can just like scream at you, and you're done, right?"
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. Maybe we use somebody as a human shield, maybe? I don't know. Vanadar, you got any ideas?
Nope. No idea what to deal with a banshee.
Yeah, how do I punch a ghost?
Oh,
Well-
the Banshee. Wow.
People just walked up on us, and
Yeah,
we weren't
so-
like, "Hey, who are you?"
So, yeah. So while you're discussing
Because my
this,
spider's watching as sentry, and maybe it would be like a little.
yeah. So while you guys are discussing this, you see these three figures walking up to you. A wizard clad in sort of in bluish robes, with very fine
Hello?
elven features. A very large,
Hello?
hulking, semi-mechanical figure walking up with like like an aura of heat and exhaust, and an armor-clad cleric wielding a shield in the shape of the symbol of Tempest, with fiery hair,
Hello?
But also a midriff armor.
No.
Midriff armor.
and also a
You can
midriff.
pick me up a Mountain Dew if you want.
Yes.
Alright, thanks.
Gotta have
burned
the
off.
midriff.
It burned off.
So yeah, how do you guys react?
Starting our day. Hey, there's some people coming.
I kind of just like awkwardly turn around and look at him and, hello, who are you?
My spider, who is not a bird but a spider, but we'll leave it. It'll be swapped briefly.
So you have your
What's up
spider
with
out
them?
instead of anime?
Yeah, I just got it, so it's
Okay.
gonna watch guard during the night.
That's fine.
Nice.
That's
It
fine.
can I'll just swap it momentarily, so we'll pretend it looks like a bird.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll Well, no, I mean, I'll put the spider on. I just have to add the stat block. But there is a golden mechanical spider clinking around. It is a
Up to you guys.
it's there.
So, yeah. Hello?
Hello.
Oh,
we're responding now. Okay.
yes.
I guess Sepsis is fascinated by the little mechanical spider. Sees like one of his kind almost, and
I
asks
do know
you
who
about it.
up behind it. Yeah.
And I start to talk to Iggy.
Hi, my name's Iluna. This is my mechanical beast. I gave it a name and I forgot.
Piper? Wasn't it Piper?
That's the rat.
No, that's
Oh, that's
the
the
rat.
Oh.
I name it Spunky because it's a spider and it's steampunk. So this is my mechanical spider Spunky. Nice to meet you. What brings you up this way?
Who starts talking?
Guys, I'm drawing a blank.
I legitimately love the fact that like these two groups have met. They've had this little introduction. And I just imagine Albina looking over at the two that she travels with is like, who talks first?
Smith, you're the boss. Tell me. Introduce us.
I'm just along for the ride.
Well, I'm gonna converse in Goblin with Iggy and introduce our group so that you guys can't suspect us of anything.
Okay.
So,
I'll mind link
what
with
do you-
Iggy and be like, oh, what is she saying?
what do you say to him?
I'm here with these other two in search of redemption and to bring order to this dragon that's causing havoc.
Oh yeah, you're here for the dragon too? He points to the tabaxi, Zash. Says this guy, I'm joining him because he's basically killed everything along the way here, and we're gonna go kill the dragon as well.
As soon as Iggy points to me, I start flexing and posing.
That's supposed to impress this mechanical man?
Yeah, he's jealous.
Oh, of course.
That's just nods in approval.
So, where
so
we've been in this axe home. Yeah, but no one said why they're here. Well, I don't even know your character's name. Albina sort of did.
So
I'm on a road to redemption.
Redemption
Is
for what?
Axholm tied to your redemption?
Yeah, well, I kind of burned down my whole village and my family. So,
That's a
I was
lot to
taken
share on
in.
our first meeting.
That definitely doesn't make you sound like some kind of ravenous murderer.
That was me when I was a child. I was gonna let you know. I was brought up in the church. It was a church, right? Let's see.
it was the Church of Tempest. It wasn't
Church
necessarily
of
like
Tempest.
it wasn't necessarily like you went to the Greensburg Presbyterian Church, but it was like you belonged to you were taken in by the acolytes and warriors.
I was taken in. Once I was orphaned. Just pretend you didn't hear the other details. I was orphaned and brought up by followers of Tempest, and I am on my way to a noble path to take down this dragon, and I joined these other two gentlemen here.
Okay. You know, life story day one, little sus of red, but we can move on. I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking around.
I'm in my fiery cloak right now. You can't see that now. Yeah. There.
Also,
So you guys,
How did you guys hear about the dragon?
yeah.
I have excellent tracking skills.
The statue says that you witnessed the dragon destroy his home and kill his only friend and insight into compassion and humanity. So he's broken in spirit now and is on a journey to avenge his friend's death and rid the world of darkness and tyranny. He's kind of pissed at the moment. So.
Okay, I kind of just
out in sympathy. And crap, I was gonna say. So, how'd you find your way here to Axholm?
Google Maps.
Not Google Maps. It's Harbin from
what does Axholm have to do with the dragon that you guys are seeking? Like, why are you guys here specifically?
This is where the Followers of Tempest sent me.
That's
just
really.
so you know, this is where Harbin Wester sent you to meet up with the group that's dealing with the dragon.
Oh, okay. So Harbin pointed you guys our way. Well, we're dealing with a psycho Banshee at the moment. I'm not sure if you guys are interested in helping us out with that. We haven't really graduated to the whole dragon thing yet, but we're working on it.
Yeah, we
trying
were
to get a safe haven going for Phandalin in case they need to retreat.
Yeah.
So
that's his volunteers, his services.
Hey, that's what I like to hear. We pretty much have the place almost cleared out. So we kind of know where the Banshee is.
We can see this Banshee because I can just burn it up.
Other beasts, anime did a little scouting and she saw it and then came back. We weren't quite prepared to take her on at that point, but we're hoping to have success today.
Yeah, so I mean, if you guys are willing to help out, we were just about to head back in there and, you know, go see if we can punch a ghost.
Punch a ghost.
Yeah.
Alright, well, Zash is gonna... Huh?
Sounds like a plan.
Alright, well, Zash starts heading into Axholm towards the room that had the staircase.
I'll follow him. As we're heading in, I'm gonna mind link with Zash and ask him, you trust these random people?
Dude, I don't know, but all I'm starting to catch up on is we're the only two people not surrounded by death and murder. Like, a little sus. A little sus.
I mean,
when we get to this,
the we heard from the mechanical guy and we heard from the being covered in fire. We didn't hear from anything from the little elf.
wizard.
Yeah, little elf boy is kind of. We don't really know what's going on with that one. We'll have to keep an eye on him.
Yeah. And don't you think it was a little weird that the fire girl like randomly walked up and started talking to Iggy?
Yeah, what's up with that? Like normally people are a little skittish to goblins. And
Exactly.
She was like, yo, what's up, Holmes?
I mean. I'm just saying, we should probably stay on our toes. They could be, like we could be going and fighting a Banshee and it turning into like a full out, like free for all battle.
Yeah, maybe you should clue Iluna in on this so she's kind of aware to watch out too.
Iluna's probably hanging back like she normally does. Where would the rest of our new friends be? Would they be marching straight forward? Because she definitely is a bit curious about the other elf, like,
I mean, that's up to you
make
guys as a
introductions, so-
group. Like what
I
is
thought
the
we were running behind you
That's why I'm
guys.
asking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vanadar and Zash are
Aruna
leading.
hangs back, and you guys are going forward because you already know where the Banshee's at.
I'm gonna cast
Yeah,
Mage
I
Hand,
was-
by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything to Wizard. Well, we don't know he's a wizard, just an elf by looking at him.
I have a
Wait,
wizard hand. You can kind of guess that I'm a caster.
You actually
By looking?
you actually see Iggy sort of eyeing up this other wizard's hat. They're very similar. Iggy's has like little golden stars and moons on it. But yeah, you can see that, like Sash, you can definitely see that he is sort of eyeing that his outfit up, and there's similarities.
I just pat him on the back and don't worry, Iggy, yours is more fashionable. It's okay.
He sort of like pops his collar a little bit, continues
Hell
marching
yeah.
on. So you guys were heading to where the shrine was?
Yeah, the room that had the stairs in it.
Up around the
Yeah.
corner. Right? I had an out of game question.
Okay.
So the spider is similarly sized to anime, yeah? They're both small.
What is anime? She's small?
It says small beast and small construct. I
Yes.
assume there's like the spider would be able to fit in the smallish space of like.
Yes, they are about the size of a cat.
Wow, that's a big spider.
Alright.
It's a dwarven spider, so it's made of metal.
Oh, a dwarven spider. Okay, then I don't mind that. I don't like real spiders.
Totally normal. I was gonna swap the beast, but I feel like the spider's slightly better choice.
oh my god, look at
I'm ready to cast a spell whenever everyone is. I found one that I think will work.
Is it dark in this place?
It is pitch black in this place.
I'm gonna use light.
Okay. So you're casting light?
Oh yeah. That's something I was asking. Warforge.
Wait.
Or I meant to ask Steve earlier.
I can
Warforge,
see
can you
that,
see in the
Oh, you're
dark?
casting.
I can see in the dark.
Yeah, actually.
All right. So Smith casts light. What are you casting it on your staff or something?
Who's leading the group?
it's
You
probably
are now.
Zash and Vanadar are probably fairly close to each other.
I'm definitely not leading. I'm staying in the back. So, I have a spell that'll light this place up if you guys want me to use it.
Vanadar chuckles and casts light on his shield. We got it covered. It's fun. We've been here before.
Sounds good.
What color, Vanadar? The teal?
Just teal.
Alright, when we get into this room, I'm gonna kind of stop and turn around and tell everybody, okay, so just up these stairs is where the Banshee's at, and in order for us to, I feel, do this fight properly, I need to know what you guys specialize in. Like, are you casters, healers, archers, fighters? What do you guys do?
I can do a little bit of casting and fighting. I was thinking of using my Shield of Faith for this Banshee.
Okay, are you a cleric?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, so am I.
I have a quick. Can we ask them what do you know about banshees? If any three of you have ever encountered one or read about anything? Because we knew very little, but these three people are new.
I know nothing of Banshees.
You know what? Roll me, the three of you, Seftis, Smith, and Albina, roll me history checks.
I have a +6, but it's only 10.
I just click on history and roll it?
Yes, you're going to click whatever the plus or minus next to history is.
Okay, I got a 20 total.
And what'd you get, Seftis?
18.
So it's actually pretty surprising that that Smith doesn't know more about these. He is the scholarly type. He is a studious one. But his field of study is more into elemental affinities, planes of existence, and whatnot, plane of travel. Whereas Albina, growing up in the holdings of the Church of Tempest, in those teachings, dealing with undead creatures and beings of a of a sacrilegious nature is something that you're actually used to. You do know a little bit about banshees. So you are aware that they, from hearing your teachers and your superiors talk about them, one of the big things that you know about them is that they are that stuff like acid, fire, lightning, thunder, magic, as well as basic weapon attacks really don't do much to them. And they also, because of their incorporeal form, they can't be grappled. They can't be, knocked prone or restrained or anything like that. So you know that fighting them requires a lot of magic and just brute force. Seftis, you know, because you heard Ludwig talking about it one or two times, when you guys were spending time together, that banshees have this ability where if it screams, that creatures near it that can hear it have just fallen over dead. And one of the reasons why he was telling you this is because he told you that this does not happen to other Warforged. This power has no effect on constructs. So that is what the two of you know.
Are you guys gonna tell us these things, or you can keep it to yourself?
Yes, we relay this information as eloquently as possible.
Okay, that's
helpful. So much information.
Yeah, you guys are just very open with us today.
It's super helpful.
Prepping the airlock.
So my lightning shooting spider is not better than the bird. That's what I'm learning.
So here's the thing. Your bird attacks don't count as magical.
As magic?
So,
no, why?
because I don't believe that they do, because I don't think that that's a thing that your companion has until a higher level. It will eventually count as magic,
out of nowhere, she was.
Nope.
It's fine.
So
yeah. It seems our best bet's this wizard then. And this metal guy. Well, what's your name again?
Seftis. God damn it. I like the name.
What's your name again?
This is a household concern. Anyhow.
Okay, so
yeah, with all the information, that's what I gathered.
So they were saying that the Banshee doesn't really affect Mr. Iron Man over here?
That is what he remembers. He was told by his mentor that a Banshee's wail does not affect constructs.
Alright, well, I'm gonna go up and slap him on the back and say, guess you're the first one in with me, bud. Preferably you first.
It's affected best with magic, right? So our best spellcaster probably might want to do
Yeah, because if they're like just normal, like melee damage, doesn't really do anything because it's like a corporeal form or whatever. And you said fire damage doesn't work either.
So mechanically, this thing has resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical attacks. So it deals half damage.
Okay.
Now, if it's a magical attack that has bludgeoning, can
Yes.
that work?
So your spiritual weapon would deal full damage.
Okay, well, upon hearing that, Zash is going to take off his Felnix necklace, and he's going to hold it between his palms until we get ready to go.
Yeah, so...
Is there any way that protecting our ears could be a thing?
The only thing, I mean, I'll tell you this out of I'll tell you this out of game. The only thing that could really do that is if you created, if somebody has the spell, Spear of Silence.
I have the spell called Silence, and it is a sphere, so I think that's what you're talking about.
Yes, it is. I knew that it was a spear.
Yes, I do have the silent spell prepped, knowing that we were going to be fighting a Banshee.
Yes. Now, keep in mind.
Wait,
the
your
spell
character didn't know that.
Keep in mind.
We knew we were fighting a Banshee.
The spell specifically says that it creates a 20-foot radius sphere centered on a point with you choose, and casting spells that include verbal components are impossible within the sphere. So if you enter the sphere and you are a spellcaster, you cannot cast a spell that on your list has a V next to in the notes of the spell. So for example, Smith has the spell Orb, which is verbal, somatic, and material. So anything that has a V in your spell list, if you are in that 20-foot sphere, you cannot cast those spells. I'm not saying don't do this. I think that's actually a very good strategy. I'm just letting you know what the ramifications of that may be.
Yep.
I'm not dying to cast this 60 feet away.
If I cast Druidcraft before we head up, does that count as magic?
I mean, are you talking about a fire-based
attack? Like on the arrow. Yeah,
that would not be a magic-based spell. You are simply lighting something on fire with magic.
Okay.
No.
Now, still do much added damage.
What's that?
I mean, since we know the Banshees are around here, and that's what we're after, I'd have to prepare that ahead of time.
Well, none of my
the added fire damage.
Yeah,
none of my spells can work in this sphere.
Yeah, so basically, like, Aberdore has the Thunder Bracers, or sorry, Zash has the Thunder Bracers, Septis has a Flame Tongue sword, and Albina has the Goblin's Bane. So those are considered magical, those are considered magical weapons.
Oh, okay. That's right, I forgot.
Now, unfortunately, adding a runestone, so for example, Iluna and Banadar, you guys have your Mace of Smiting and your Precision Longbow. Those do not gain the magical designation unless you have a +1 runestone put into that. So unfortunately, your weapons would not be considered magical for the case of defeating this resistance.
But she's just resistant. She's not immune to it.
She's not immune.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so my channel divinity, what is that?
So, channel divinity is an ability that you get, and what you can do is you have right now 2 things that you can do. You can turn undead, which is you speak an action, and each undead creature that can see or hear you within 30 feet has to make a wisdom save, and if it fails, it spends a minute running away from you until it takes damage. The other thing that you can do, because you are a war cleric, is you can use up your channel divinity, that when you make an attack roll, you gain a +10 to the roll after
The guided strike.
Like, yeah. So basically, if you knew, like, let's say, for example, your Goblin's Bane is a +4 to hit. So this means that if you knew that a creature had at least a 14 AC, just because, you know, throughout the combat you sort of figured out the math. If you knew that it had at least a 14 AC and this was the final hit that you needed and you didn't want to risk missing, you could just use that guided strike. You get a +10 to whatever you roll. You roll your die, you automatically get a 14, and so you know you're going to hit. The thing is, you can choose to take that after you roll your die. So, like, let's say, for example, you roll a 2 and you're only going to have a 6. You can use it after you roll, but before I say yes or no, it does or does not hit.
Okay.
So I think we have at least the base of a plan.
So we're all gonna be in this sphere.
Well, I don't think I don't think we all need to be in the sphere.
Yeah,
It's
we
just
want her in the sphere.
Yeah. It's only 20 feet, so just stay 25 or more feet away.
I was thinking, I didn't realize you could cast it on the Banshee.
I could cast it on the area. I cast it on an area.
Well, yeah.
Meaning she'll be able to move out of it.
That is true.
Unless
she tries to move out and I sentinel her ass.
Unless she is CC'd in a way where she cannot move. But
Which I can do once a turn.
Yes. And I do also have hold person prepped. And I can maintain concentration on both spells. So we could try that.
Yeah, that might be the play for the 2 clerics. Yeah, is drop the silence field on her and then try to hold person on her in the silence field so she can't get out. Sound good?
Sounds like
Okay, so depending on how
I'm keeping my
depending on how initiative order is, that will be my first turn. Dropping the silence field as close and as efficiently as possible. So Bina.
Now, if you hold her, does that mean that stops her from even like wailing or no?
Well, she can't wail in the silence field. I mean, she can, but it won't penetrate the 20-yard field. Meaning
So we
any.
can hold her in there.
Right.
Okay.
Actually, I need to reread that. Hold on.
Well, they're paralyzed for the duration of hold person. So.
Yeah. So, okay. That is another option. Because when you're inside of the sphere, you're deafened too. So even all of our melee people, like the War Cleric and Zash, even when you're in there, even if she wails, you guys won't hear it anyways because you'll be deafened.
Right.
What doesn't affect this?
Yeah, because I was thinking if I go in while you're holding her in there with my Goblin's Bane and I do the Channel Divinity guided strike, that's automatically 14. And then I have to do a D8 plus 2 for damage. Yeah,
so just know that you won't be able to cast any of your spells while you're inside there.
Yeah, this is just for like to hit it, I guess.
Okay.
Since that's a magical.
Yeah. Okay. I think I think that's a
I
pretty solid plan.
I only see one flaw with the plan. I don't think I have the spell hold person as well, But I don't think it's gonna work on the Banshee.
Because it's humanoid, yeah.
You're probably right.
Oh, yeah, I didn't
That's
think
right, because
about
it can
that.
hold goblins, we were saying, but not the...
I have command as well.
Can we... What's this command say?
I could...
To a creature.
Yeah, to a creature, and then, I could have her just halt.
Go prone.
No, because she can't go prone. We learned that from the...
Oh,
moves
that's
and
right.
takes no actions, yeah, so they won't be able to do anything.
Yeah, so...
Nice.
I mean, technically, we could just command her and have her halt anyways, and then she can't well, even without silence.
You could also have her walk back into the silence field if she gets out.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll kind of stay on the outskirts and just try to keep her CC'd. If you guys want to do the damages.
All right, sounds good.
Good, everyone.
Smith. And catching that.
I'm gonna move you guys. So, Luna, which one of your you're gonna want to move. Which one of your beast companions do you want to have?
God.
This one. I did actually think one sheet and lightning would have been a better choice, but they both.
Sorry, I gotta get this.
How do their damage compare?
What's that?
Between the two. The damage roll, let's see.
Are you asking which of your pets does the most damage?
Yeah, because their hit roll.
So, anime does 1d6 plus 3.
No, plus 5.
Yeah, it is plus 5 because it's her same plus hit.
Oh, it's hers. Oh, that's right. I was just looking off of her actual sheet. Piper only does 1 piercing damage, so 1 plus 5. And then Spunky is 1d6 plus 1, which would be 5 because of yours. So Anime and Spunky do the same damage.
But both of them will probably be resisted anyway. So if you're asking for my opinion, I think maybe anime is probably the way to go, because
she can give you advantage.
Yeah, she can give you advantage, meaning you have a higher chance of actually hitting. But it's completely up to you.
I was just disappointed one with lightning isn't a better choice. But anyhow, I guess I'll have anime out and.
Also, FYI, just general knowledge, when she's in the silence field, she's completely immune to thunder damage. If that changes anyone's decision about anything.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys ready?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. I start.
I have a flaming arrow, and I'm taking up the back like.
All right. I start walking. Anime, can you show us where you saw the Banshee last time?
She basically just points around the corner, right, like with her feathers.
Okay.
With her feathers.
I look at
dwarven spider.
I look at Septus and ask him, "You ready?"
Let's do this.
Let's fucking do it. And I go running in.
Yep.
So, guys, up and around. Yeah, so towards the end of this hallway, you can see a floating spectral being that looks like this.
Oh.
You can
She got a real pretty
tell that
face.
she has. You can tell that she has elven features.
I'm sure she does.
Yeah, she does.
What are you saying? I just look back at him. Or
Give me 1 second, because I, like the consummate professional that I am, did not even have my particular note on. Sorry. So, as you round this corner, a luminous, wispy form of a female elf floats in the dusty hallway before you, its face wreathed in a tangle of gossamer hair, its body clad in spectral rags that flutter around it. The apparition's face becomes a mask of rage as it screams, "Get out of my house!"
That's it?
I mean, she's telling you.
I just rush at her and say, "Fuck your house."
All right. So everybody, roll initiative.
I got a 15.
I got 19.
All right. So 1 second. So I did 15. Septus got a 19. Albina, what did you get?
11.
Right. Vanadar.
3.
Zash.
20.
Leading the way.
First one to die.
Enjoy the full round with no silence, guys, because I'm at the bottom.
Yeah. I thought we were preparing this approach.
Zash, you are at the top of the order.
I'm just gonna, let's see, 5, 10, 15. Yeah, I can get right up in her shit.
Okay.
And I am just gonna lead it off, and I'm gonna hit her. Let's see, that is like 25 to hit?
That hits.
Okay.
Here's hoping it does.
Right. 6, 7. Alright, that's 11 points of damage, and this is cold damage, by the way.
Okay. So you are. Oh, that's cold damage.
Yeah, that's why I was holding my talisman, was to switch over to cold.
So you run up, your knuckles frost over with this cold energy, and you do your strikes, but you realize that it is she looks completely unfazed. The icy chill on your gloves is actually like starting to like freeze your hands instead.
Oh, great. Alright, I'm going to bonus action Flurry of Blows.
Okay.
The first one is a nat 1. And the second is 13? That probably misses.
That hits.
Okay. Let's see. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 points of damage.
What kind of damage?
So you said I noticed that the first one didn't, like, really do anything?
Yeah, you realized that, like, you prepped these icy punches and they did nothing.
Okay. Well, then I guess I'm just gonna switch over to the claws and do slashing then.
Okay. And I believe, yes, because you are using the gauntlets, that does count. So how much damage?
I think I said 12, right?
Okay.
5.
So you can see that like waking these thunderous strikes through her, and with your your claws being powered up by these bracers, that connects with her. You can see that she's pained from that attack.
Okay.
Oh,
And
shit. Sorry,
that's my
I
turn.
just realized I put her on the wrong square to start with. My apologies. She's actually right there. I literally have markers on my side. Sorry, you're just basically like you just basically only needed to move 30 feet away.
Alright, in that case, can I move to her side then?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the distance that we had to be if she wailed?
30 feet.
30. Okay.
Yes. All right, Cephtus, it's your turn.
All right. I guess I will do rage as well.
Okay.
And just go flailing on in there. See what happens, I guess.
All right.
Looks a bit very little. I got a 10.
So now keep in mind, unfortunately, it would not help you in this particular case. So with Zash being on one of the other cardinal directions, you actually get a +1. Unfortunately, an 11 does not hit.
Pretty good.
It is going to be Iluna's turn.
Okay, I'm gonna send anime in the flyby to give me advantage.
Okay. So wait, let me see. So that's gonna be. So do you want her to move it in and back out?
Yeah, she can?
Yeah, she can. She could move up to there, and then she could get back another 15 feet.
That doesn't make her an opportunity attack.
So, I mean, she would still be able to give you the help action, so you would still have advantage on the attack.
Okay, the first roll was a 19.
That hits.
Okay.
But roll it again to make sure that you don't get a nat
one was only a 10.
Okay, so yeah, your attack definitely hits. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Oh, it has fire. She prepared the one arrow because we were knowing what we were doing.
Yes. So it's going to deal an extra 1d6 fire damage.
So 4 added on to the 7.
So we're looking at 11 points.
Yep.
Okay. So. All right. It is the Banshee's turn.
Rip.
And let's see here. All right. So let me see. Okay, yeah, so that's gonna be everyone. I need every single one of you to roll a Wisdom saving throw. So for the new players, you're going to notice that you have a block up in the upper left of your character sheet, right underneath your strength and dexterity scores. You're going to click the button that says Wisdom and then whatever that number is.
Okay, Lucas, so because I'm a Kalashtar, I have advantage on that, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
So it says +5 for me now. I click on it and it's gonna roll?
Yes.
Yep.
I got an 11.
Ooh.
I got a 4.
Zash got a 21.
Then,
right. So who got under a 13?
I did.
Anyone else?
Iluna did.
Okay.
I got a 4.
So, Iluna and Septis. Actually, wait a second. Septis, let me look at some here real fast. Yeah, I must be thinking of another. I must be thinking of the other barbarian ability, the other subclass. There is one that is this can't happen to you. Okay, so Iluna and Septis, you are currently frightened. Pretty much her face, she like her entire visage changes into just this grotesque looking amalgamation of a face. And it is horrifying. So, like I said, Septis and Iluna, you are currently frightened. And that means that, but on your turn, you can repeat this save. But what this means that right now, the thing would actually work. You have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls while the source of your fear is in line of sight, and you cannot willingly move closer to that creature.
Oh, that's so
weird. I definitely want to use that.
You're so close to it.
So, up next, it is Iggy's turn. He is going to move through his allies, and he is going to see what his speed is. So that was
his speed is 30 feet.
yeah. He's gonna move up to here. So he's basically gonna move up. He's gonna move up to there. He is going to shoot his firebolt, which that's a nat 20.
Nat 20.
Hell yeah.
So
Good job,
he deals 12 points of damage. And so just like with Septis, just like with Iluna's arrow, the flames on it seem to die out the moment they hit her, but she does feel the effects of it. You just imagine, this is one of those things that she might be resistant to. And Iggy is going to move into this little arrow slit and gain a little bit of cover from her. Albina, it is your turn.
All right. So, like, I can do my attack and then I can do my bonus attack, right? All in one.
Correct.
Okay. So I would like to use my Goblin's Bane.
So here's the thing. You have 30 feet of movement, which means you can get there. So you are just 5 feet shy of being able to hit her. So you can definitely move up. You can cast a spell at her instead. You can cast spiritual weapon and get that on the other side of her. You can do whatever you want. You just are not close enough to hit her.
So the channel divinity with my Goblin's Bane won't hit her.
No, because you cannot get to her.
Okay, wait. I can do my spiritual weapon because that's even within 60 feet.
Correct. So you can summon your spiritual weapon on the other side.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
Okay.
So then I click it. And 18 plus 5, so 23.
Okay.
And
that definitely hits.
For damage, do I need to do the D8 and then it'll be plus 3?
Yes, it's going to be the 1d8 plus 3.
So 6 is going to be the total, I guess. It's not very much damage.
So, but you can see that this strike connects with her fully.
Oh, she's bloodied already?
Oh yeah,
Alright.
she is bloodied already.
Yes, she is.
Yay. I had a question with the wisdom saving throws. Does mine count for anime as well? Or was she supposed to have her own separate one?
No, they both saved. I rolled on my side. I rolled for both her and Iggy because I have their stat blocks pulled up.
Oh. Well, I didn't want to play her today anyhow.
Sorry.
So
I was like,
how do you determine? Sorry.
I was just wondering if it comes to her turn, anime can still do their advantage to counter the disadvantage, or?
Yeah. I mean, you could still definitely,
Okay.
command her to go in and do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I didn't know if she got frightened or not, but
Right.
like
Yeah.
if she
Sorry,
was
I meant
combined
to
with
say
me.
that. I meant to say that Iggy and
It's
her
fine.
both succeeded.
So the Goblin's Bane, it says range 5 feet. How did you determine? Did you have to roll to see if I hit her? Because I was at 30 feet. You said, right?
So you have 30 feet of movement. So where you were standing before back here, every square is 5 feet. So you moved up 30 feet. That's as far as you can move. You have to have like no squares between you and another creature in order to hit them with a melee attack, which is what your Goblin's Bane is.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Can I disable this extension so I can see what I rolled?
Yeah.
Because I'll need to know what I rolled for my party.
Oh, gotcha. So I guess I'm so used to it anymore.
Alright, so my turn?
Yeah, Smith's turn.
Pyrochromatic Orb.
Okay.
Oh, come on, it's still loading.
Ooh, wait, so you're guessing it's...
Yeah.
Oh, I know why. You did take that feat, didn't you? Son of a bitch! Okay. I was gonna say, it's like, come on, man, you know better than that.
So it's 18, and do I get the flanking bonus? Not that it matters, but...
No. So the only time that you get the flanking bonus is if it's made with a weapon attack.
Yeah. Alrighty. So 18?
Yes, that definitely is. Yeah, because I think moving forward, I think the way that I've always done it, and I think I may have misspoke earlier and gave Iluna or gave somebody a little bit of a bonus. The flanking I believe I have the rules set up where the flanking only works for the people that are directly around it. How much damage?
10.
Alright. So Smith casts this spell. You see that even though it is fire and Iggy's really didn't do, a lot, and Iluna's fire, dealt a little bit of a hit, but fizzled out quickly. You see Smith's just like ignites her basically, and it affects her far more than anyone else's. So.
You don't have inspiration, right?
Huh?
I don't have inspiration.
No, I have to add for you, Albina and Texas. I have to add your things because I use the point system instead of like yes or no. So I'll explain it to you later. Aberdore, it's your turn.
Well, seeing that she's already bloodied, I think silence isn't needed. So I'm actually just gonna cast command.
Okay. So what do I have to roll? Not a wisdom save?
It's a wisdom save, yeah, wisdom 14.
Mm-hmm.
1 second. You you attempt to cast this spell on her, and as you do, you feel that it has 0 effect. Like, you don't even feel that she struggled to, like, fight it.
Oh, okay. Cool. Good turn.
Oh.
Look, I'm already frightened. This isn't helping.
Did you say it's my turn?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just gonna punch her again.
Okay.
First one is 15 to hit.
That hits.
Alright. 10 damage.
Okay.
And then I'm going to Flurry of Blows again. First one is 20 to hit.
That hits.
Second one is 18 to hit.
They both hit. Roll your damage.
8 on the first one. 12 on the second.
All right. As this happens, you see a blinding light explode out from her. Zash, you are sort of pushed up against the wall a little bit. Septis, you're blasted back 5 feet. Albina, you're shot like back into this door, knocking it open. As this happens, what is that noise?
Oh, that's me. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
My camera's not wanting to.
That's fine. As this happens, you're all practically blinded for a few seconds. As your vision returns, standing in her spot, you see this spirit of an elven woman. Oh, combat is also over. I meant to say that.
Are we unfrightened?
Yes, you are currently, you are no longer frightened.
I'm assuming I would recognize who the elven spirit is.
Yes, Vanadar, you recognize this elven spirit as Vildari from the vision that you had.
Okay. Does she look noticeably different?
She does. So before, she had a, obviously I sent you that picture. Yeah. Let me pull it up real quick. This, nope, yeah. Oh, I just have to add it to, I thought I had this image added, and apparently I don't. Because I'm a schmuck. Alright, sorry. She looks like this now.
Oh.
Oh wow. Nice little hair.
She looks kind of evil.
But she's like incorporeal. She is see-through. She is spiritual in this state. And as that light fades, you sort of see the energy from this Banshee like incorporate up into her as this like new form, for lack of a better word, forms. And she stands there and she blinks and she's looking at all of you.
I'm gonna walk up. I'm gonna walk up to her. And you said her name is Vildara?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna ask her why she chose to haunt this place? Do banshees haunt? Is that what they do?
I mean, so you were told by that vision that you got that she tried to sow
Get out of my
chaos.
home.
Yeah, she tried to sow chaos amongst the dwarves whenever she was a moon elf representative coming to Axholm. I mean, if you want to ask her that, you're more than welcome.
I do, because I already knew all that.
Right. Okay. So what was specifically your question?
I want to ask, like, why she chooses to still haunt these halls. Or why did she, I guess.
She breathes, she thinks for a moment, and she says, wait, 1 second, sorry. The dwarves, they're filthy creatures. Creatures that burrow themselves into the earth and mountains, locking themselves away from the true grace of the sky. When I came here, I wished to watch them destroy themselves from the inside out. And they caught me. And so I wreaked havoc upon them, achieving my goal in my death.
We often see her and this thing on her forehead. Would any of us recognize that?
So in fact, Iluna, you don't even have to question if you know it. You know that symbol. You know that symbol better than anyone because it is the same symbol that you have around your neck.
I don't have anything around me.
You have a pendant.
Would Vanadar or I know that? Would we make that connection?
I don't know because
I have that connection already without even knowing that. I know that.
You wouldn't have seen her pendant.
Right, and that was something that Stacy and I had talked about. She had never really shown off this pendant before.
Okay.
Mostly because we didn't do much chatting, surprisingly, but nobody would have seen it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna turn back and look at Iluna and be like, "Hey, Luna, do you know her? She looks like this same species of elf as you are."
I don't. I'm not prepared to know whether she would pull out.
I got a bath bomb, and guess what it does?
Does it melt?
Whenever it melts the holy way, it gives me a little baby dinosaur, and it's a water type.
Yeah,
and I'm going to put it on right next to the sink every day.
Okay.
And every day for whenever I have my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'm going to let him get water.
Okay.
What does that pendant
He's
stand
gonna grow
for?
big and big. Remember that other T-Rex Tyrannosaurus that I had, and it got absolutely toasted?
I mean,
Like, remember its arm got ripped off? Remember that one?
No.
Yeah, but I have a new.
Is it like the symbol of your
family? Her mother has one. That's all she knows. Her mother
You
gave
see,
her one.
when you're explaining this, you see. When you're saying this, you see a wry smile come to the Banshee's face.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay,
She doesn't say anything, but as you're explaining that about the pendant, she has this this semi-devious smile.
I'm gonna look at Iluna. What do your people do? Why is she looking so enthralled at the fact that you are both from the same clan?
Is this how you feel about dwarves? Do you feel the same way, hey, Luna?
The Banshee speaks up when you say about her
I don't get to
being.
answer them. How rude.
Well, I mean, you can answer them, but the moment he says from the same, what'd you say, from the same clan?
Yeah.
She says very quietly, but Zash and Vanatar, you are able to hear her. She says from the same bloodline.
Ooh.
What?
I've been nomadic my whole life. My bloodline's my mother and my unknown father.
And she smiles and she says,
Here it comes.
she smiles and she says, "Yes, your mother, Mia."
Mother Mia?
Mia. Stop.
That's what I heard, Mother Mia.
That's what I heard too.
That's what I did. It wasn't supposed to become so freaking elaborate.
As
but that's her name.
As she says this, she floats through everyone and moves up to you, and she's incorporeal. She is not able to interact physically, but she
step back a bit.
Okay. As you step back, she follows to the point that you're like prepped up to the wall, and she runs her incorporeal hand through your hair, and she says, "Oh, you have her eyes."
I do have my mother's eyes.
And then you see this look of disgust come to her face, and she looks up and down you, and she says, "And his blood."
My father's blood. That's why I'm a ladrin. I had taken on his trait. That's why I'm still in winter season.
The filth of the forest.
Do you know
yeah.
my father?
And she slowly floats back again, and she says, "Of course I did."
Did? You did. Is he dead?
You see that her form is beginning to fade now, and she says, "Unfortunately not." And you see that she moves through everyone and disappears into the room at the end.
I follow.
Bye.
All right. Zash, as you follow,
Luna's gonna sit down for a flippin' second, or 3.
As you follow, you see, you come to this room at the end of the hall. 1 second. You head into the room, and as you enter into here, you find a stone-framed bed with a moldy mattress in the center of the room, covered in dust and cobwebs. Set into the southern wall is a soot-stained fireplace, and that is it.
There's no body in here?
Nothing in there that you can see, no.
Do I see the lady?
You don't.
I'm gonna call out for her.
You call out, you hear a bit of rustling coming from the chimney of the fireplace.
Alright, I'll go up to it and check it out.
As you go up to the fireplace, you hear that it's the same sound of those sturges that you had found in the other fireplaces. As you get near, like, one comes out, and you quickly strike it down as it just flutters out.
Okay.
Roll me a perception check.
All right. 17.
So while this is going on, what is everyone else doing?
I feel like I'd be at the kind of like doorway, like peeking and making sure that Sash is okay.
All right, Septis Albina, Smith.
Yeah, I'll probably check in the room as well, make sure there's anything going on in there.
Okay. Albina and Smith.
I guess I'll be peeking in the doorway.
Sure.
I kind of feel like I want to go into this room that I'm just staring into, and no offense to everyone else. I think you can fend for yourself.
Pushed into.
So you, so Albina, whenever you walked into this room, you can see that this room is very similar. It has a large stone framed bed. The furnishings in here have just are covered in dust and cobwebs and have just decayed with time. But you can see that some of the decorations, some of the setting of it is very elven in nature. So realizing that this Banshee was elven, you might imagine that while she was there, this may have been her bedroom.
Okay.
Zash, while this was going on, Iggy would also be down in there. As you're sort of, rooting around after you knocked out this Scourge, you realize that there are like handprints in the soot on the backside of this fireplace.
Okay, like somebody was trying to climb up it.
Maybe somebody was like, in there doing something. Like there are handprints in the soot in the back of the fireplace.
Okay.
Message.
Yeah, and there was the only thing that was up the chimney chute was a Scourge.
Correct.
All right, I will put my hands over the handprints and push.
All right. As you do, it opens up into a room. Against the southern wall of this otherwise empty room is a large iron chest with decorated clawed feet.
Okay.
As you look at it and inspect it, you can see that it has the front of it. It has a locking mechanism that does not look like you could place a key into it, but instead has a tiny circular indentation.
Does it look like the same type of indentation that was the amulet on her forehead?
No.
No? Okay.
You know what? Roll me an investigation.
Okay. Ooh, 19.
You actually look into the indentation, and it sort of strikes you. When you killed that one ghoul back on the lower level, it had a ring on it, and you think that this might match that.
I took that ring, didn't I?
You did.
All right, I'll take the ring out of the bag of holding and put it into the socket.
Yeah. You do that. You turn it, and you hear the mechanisms wind up inside as it unlocks and opens up.
Okay.
You know what? I don't have my note that has the items that were in there. Shit.
Make some.
Empty chest.
You want to find in there?
Hold on a second. Give me like 2 seconds to look at something.
It's just Vildara's head pops up on a spring.
There you go.
Oh. So, everyone saw her go somewhere, or did she just disappear?
She went into this room.
Yeah, she disappeared into that room.
She fled.
I don't understand what's being said. Where did she go?
She went into this room that I went in. I followed her, and then when I came in here, she was just gone.
Okay, you went after her, but she's not in there.
Right.
Go through walls and everything, or she has to go through doorways?
No. I think I might have to reboot or something. I don't understand what anyone's saying.
Let me disconnect and I'll connect again. I don't hear anyone.
Yeah,
that's because no one's talking.
Oh, okay, good.
No movie, it was frozen.
Yeah, I thought we were just frozen.
Just Stacy.
I really like this Banshee.
Like her elven form?
I love her hair, everything about her.
Hey, save it. Maybe an idea for another character.
Yeah.
It's always good to have a backup in case you die.
How do I save the picture?
Yeah, have Lucas send it to you.
Good. Yeah, I love her. I can already say that I'm never gonna stop playing D&D.
There you go. Yeah, that's the spirit.
I'm gonna be 95 years old, and Mike and I are gonna be handling campaigns till death do us. Whether you choose to or not, Mike, you're in this for the long haul.
I'll say Smith's already been in this one for the long haul for 6 years. Alright. You good, Stacy, or are you still trying to connect?
She is not in the channel right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, no video. Okay. Yes. You think it's my webcam being close to the TV causing you issues? For the screen.
No, I think after a while Discord just can't handle it for me.
Okay.
For whatever reason. It's not the first time. But I was trying to say Sash was doing his thing. She would get up to that room. I don't know if she's gonna go in.
Did you hear us answer you about where she went?
Yeah, she's in where where Zash went and
Then just disappeared.
Mechanical Man. Yeah, and she just disappeared, but did you guys saw her disappear or did everyone see her disappear?
Well, she just like walked into this door and then when Zash went in, she wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then that's what I mean, while you're getting in the secret room, she would have come in and stand near the edge and wait till she can ask some questions.
She's jaywalking through the walls.
Luna, as you are walking over there, as you're walking over there, as you walk past the room that Albina is standing in, you hear her voice. You hear her voice one more time and no one else hears this, but there's sort of like a bit of a chill up your spine as you hear it. And she says, until we meet again. And then in a disgusted tone says, princess.
What?
Apparently.
No, she's a nomad.
So Zash.
Yes.
Sorry, I know it did take me a minute. So you find
That's
four
okay.
things. You find 4 things in here. You find a pair of goggles, a pair of gauntlets, and 2 spell scrolls.
Okay.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I'm just writing it down. Sorry.
All right.
Oh, I should probably write some stuff down.
Do I notice like what any of this stuff is?
You've never seen these particular items before.
Mm-hmm.
But you have heard of at least the one, and that is the goggles. You've heard about them from the dwarves, from the Innsmouths, whenever you dealt with them in the past, where these have been used to be given to those that can't see in the dark to allow them to see in the dark.
Okay.
So they are goggles of night.
Okay. I'll take all the stuff and I'll go up to Vanadar. Hey, can you identify what these are?
I can identify what one of them was. I could use identify once.
Alright, why don't you identify these gauntlets then? And while he's doing that, I'll go up to... Is your character's name Smith? I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go up to Smith and I'll ask him, do you know what these scrolls are?
What are they?
Yeah, you read them. The one is for the spell Searing Smite. It allows you to imbue your attack with fiery, white-hot intensity. The other one is the spell. Why the fuck did it not? Sorry. The other one is the spell Identify.
Oh, okay.
How convenient!
I'll tell them what they are.
Alright.
Okay, well, I'll use my one charge of Identify on the Goggles of Night.
No, we already know what those are. Use it on the gauntlets.
You said the goggles.
I said the gauntlets.
You definitely said the goggles, but okay.
I 100% said the gauntlets. We will check them on.
You did say gauntlets.
Okay, well, clearly I'm just out of it. Okay, I'll use Identify on the gauntlets then.
All right. You take the time. These are Gauntlets of Overpower.
Oh, shit.
So whoever puts them on, their strength score becomes a 19.
Wow.
I want those gauntlets. I'm gonna challenge you to a duel. No, I'm just kidding.
So what do you guys do?
Anime make it, or not anime, Luna make it up there yet? Because she's still...
Yeah, I mean, you eventually get up.
less curious about where she went, but I
Princess...
guess she'd want to know what you guys found in this clearly elven room, right?
No, the elven room's the one that Hannah's in.
That was the one that Albina was in.
Okay,
The one?
The other one.
Yeah. So you want to go to the other one?
That room too.
Yeah, I guess if I peek in there and it was elven, she would probably check it out.
Yeah. You know, when you walk in here, The deck, I mean, like I said, everything is dust covered, cobwebs, you know, moldy and decayed from time. But there is a bit of, like, the decor styling itself is very familiar to that of, you know, the same, of a similar style that your mother's, you know, would have displayed a little bit of. And when, so when you step in, when you walk into there, you see that, like, there's, like I said, there's this, you know, moldy, this old decrepit bed there that's sort of fallen apart with time. But there is a little bit of metal that is left. That's it's seemingly like an out of place polished bit of metal on this bed. And as you take a glance at it, you can see um, in the reflection the visage of that elven woman standing behind you. But as you look over your shoulder, she is not there.
I guess I look a little bit concerned. I don't know if Albina would notice, but I guess that's up to her.
I mean, Albina doesn't see anything.
So I just see you flinch,
if she noticed whether I look a bit worried.
So,
I look a bit concerned. I'm sorry, ask what?
I turn and look at you and say, what did you look back at? There's nothing there.
I feel like she's still with me. Or something like that. I just look, I don't know, confused and...
Let's get back to the others.
Yeah, is there, she'd probably want to walk around and see if there's anything maybe of...
There's like I said, there's really nothing of value in the room, unfortunately.
So, once she disappeared, does this place feel any different?
Yes. So, I mean, and you sort of felt that the moment that she, you know, exploded into light, you felt like there was a shift in the atmosphere. You felt that there was like an uplifting in this area.
Yeah, the happiness is gone.
Okay. I'm gonna just announce that I think we should get back to Phandalin and let them know that this place is cleared.
Well, I mean, is it cleared? We haven't really gone through all the rooms up here.
I mean, I'm assuming if she's gone, any evil is probably gone with her.
I mean,
she said she was trapped by the dwarves.
What did you say, Stacy?
Well, she last went in the room you guys were in, right? So that's where she'd be curious about now. I mean, you don't know why she's curious, extra super curious, to try and find her to see if she's still even in here. Although she'd probably sense that she's not too. But I don't know, holding out some weird hope. Despite being horrifying, that she's still there.
Yeah.
So you didn't see her leave this room? Or
no,
anything?
I saw her go through the wall into this room, but when I opened the door, she was nowhere to be seen.
And then she whispered to you, Princess.
We don't know that, though.
Yeah, we don't know that.
I'm sitting on that for a little bit. She needs to process it herself. But I don't imagine it'd be a secret for her.
All right. Well, I think maybe we should.
Is there anywhere else you want to explore? Is there anything left?
I mean, I feel like we should.
The evil seems gone.
I mean,
I feel like we should give it the once over. Yeah. Because, I mean, like, there could be more spiders. I feel like the ghouls are probably gone, but, I mean, we did run into those spiders, so you never know.
Okay, yeah, we could finish looking around.
All right. So, I am just sort of gonna brute force our way around this. You explore the rest of Axholm. There is essentially the map. You find nothing else throughout it. There are no enemies and whatnot beyond what you have already fought, so you are able to leave Axholm. Oh, sorry. Let me get rid of that picture. My apologies.
Wow, that's big. Good thing we're not exploring that whole place.
We are.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
You did, though.
It's a good thing we're done exploring.
Yeah, pretty much the only places that weren't explored is where I'm moving anime to. Like, this room just leads to an overlook of the main hall. Then this is like a tunnel that leads up into this little storage area, which then leads out to where you dealt with the spiders. That was pretty much the last place, other than this other room that I'm going to place Albina in, where there is just that was actually where there was a bathtub that anime had gone up and seen when you guys were down in the bottom area.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So yeah, you explore this. Are you heading back to Phandalin now?
I think so.
Yeah, sounds like the plan now that we have this place all cleared out.
All right. So,
yeah, can I get over her?
If you guys want to, if you guys have anything to talk about while you're on your way back to Phandalin.
Yeah, on the way back, I'm gonna kind of pull Iluna and Vanadar so that we're kind of trailing the three, and I'm gonna look at Iluna and ask her, you know, are you okay? Those seemed like quite the coincidence.
I never heard of her before. I grew up on the move. Our clan, my mother and a few others left our main clan, picked up strays, I guess. I don't know what can't remember that word.
It seemed like she really...
I've had this pendant, and I know nothing much of my father's heritage at all. Very little of my mother's. It wasn't talked about.
It seems like she really disliked the dwarves.
It definitely seems that way. I've never had any reason to have animosity against dwarves.
Do you know?
New to me.
Do you know the clan that she or your mother originated from?
It's not in the backstory I wrote, so I don't know. Do I?
I mean, as far as you know, your mother never really divulged too much about, like much of her own past, up to a certain point. As far as you are aware, your mother has always been a part of this nomadic tribe.
Yeah, like, that's what I had wondered. Nobody's traveled back to the original clan for centuries. As far as she's, Iluna is the one.
Hey, Luna, is your mother still alive?
For the first 100 years of her life. She was when I last left her.
And you don't know about your father?
No. My mom said she knew he was Haladrin when I was born. And they were two options. That sounds bad. She had some. It's Mamma Mia.
So your mom...
She had some fun, and she knows there's two.
Oh.
Oh, there's two possibilities. Okay.
So Eladrin.
Okay.
Where did you last leave your mother?
Someplace on the road. I didn't write that down.
Your mother was last seen somewhere in the northern areas of sort of the Sword Coast, like up to the north side of Neverwinter Wood.
Do you know how to track your mother? I think it might be time to go ask her about, this woman that we just encountered.
Like, she seemed to know your mother, and she apparently knew your father.
And it seemed like she knew you.
I've always worn this pendant. It kept me feeling tied to my clan, but they always traveled, so I never... ever since I turned 100, which is like an adult for elves, I followed my own path. I haven't seen them for 4 decades.
You haven't seen your parents in 4 decades?
She's an elf. That's not really a big deal.
That's what, 40 years?
And they were nomadic. She's been wandering around for 40 years, making some friends here and there.
You could have sisters or brothers out there that you don't know either.
Definitely.
Well, how's your relationship with your mom?
We were close. The clan raised all of us.
Okay.
I don't know. Lots of, we'll call them aunts.
I mean, it's up to you, Personally, I think it's worth pursuing. But if you don't want to, we don't have to. But I definitely think, we should try to track your mom down and see if she has any answers and if she can fill in any of the blanks.
I do think that it's a little fortuitous that we've been on this quest for a little over a week now at this point, and that we just happened to stumble across somebody from your clan that greatly disliked dwarves, which we've been dealing a lot with. That
my bloodline, not my clan. My clan nomad.
Right.
I don't know this person.
Okay, then yeah, your bloodline. So as far as you know, like maybe your bloodline is just like extremely prejudiced against other dwarves or something. I mean,
do short people anger you, Iluna?
How do you feel about Igor?
Yeah, when you look at Igor, does your blood pressure rise?
Do you feel like screaming?
Igor's feet don't touch the floor when he sits in a chair. Does that just boil your blood?
Are you jealous that everything's a swing for him? Sorry.
I'm learning not all gremlins or not gremlins, dear lord.
Gremlins.
Don't get them wet!
Don't get them after midnight.
Goblins are not all enemies.
Okay.
I don't want to harm our little friends. I'm learning that friends come in all forms.
All right, but I definitely think that it's... I definitely think it's in your best interest that sometime in the future you should probably check back in with your mother and at least talk about what happened here. Again, I'm not one to like meddle in family affairs. Like if more goes into it, then that's fine. But like I definitely think it's kind of strange that
I do need to learn more. My mother never told me about my bloodline.
I think maybe it's time to
I feel
ask.
like this spirit knows more than, or has told me more than I would have learned from my mother.
It's unfortunate that,
So
that you guys.
We'll add it to her quest.
It's unfortunate that we couldn't have met her under other conditions, because maybe you could have learned a lot about your bloodline from her.
All right. So you know this. So this conversation goes on during your trip back to Phandalin. A few hours go by, and you finally return back to the town. Where do you guys go?
I think I want to go talk to the Sonlinors and let them know that the mission's finished.
Okay.
Do we, the 3 people, get left behind?
No,
What's that?
You're ahead.
We're ahead of you guys. Oh, you're behind us. Okay.
Yeah, I would go with Vanadar.
Okay. Is anyone going to tell Harbin Wester?
We'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, hey Luna, if you want to just kind of collect your thoughts and stuff, I can deal with Harbin after. It's up to you though.
You like dealing with Harbin?
Him and I have an understanding.
I mean,
God damn it,
if
Goku!
you're willing to go talk to Harbin, go ahead. I've got thoughts to collect.
Yeah, I'll go to Harbin then.
All right.
Me and Iggy.
So yeah, Zach, you arrive at the town master hall first and foremost. Real fast. Where are the other 3? Where are the 3? Seftis, Albina, and Smith. What are you guys doing right now? Are you staying with anyone in particular?
I figure I'll be going to Harbin's too.
Luna would invite them to the inn to get settled.
That means you're probably coming with
Yeah,
me.
I'll do that.
I think that's where the Sonlinors were.
All right. So yeah, we'll say Smith, Iggy, and Zash go and talk to Harbin. We'll say the others go over to the Stonehill Inn. Smith and Zash, you two arrive with Iggy at Harbin Wester's office, and you knock on the door and yes,
it's me.
Hey Zash, how's it going?
I open the door.
Hey, who's this?
Oh, this is my friend that I met at Axholm. His name's Smith.
Haven't I met Harbin before? No?
Not in this case. Oh, you
not
know,
in person.
He's the one that let us
Yes,
to go to.
yes,
Okay.
you did. Well, no, he never saw you. He only talked to you through.
Okay.
He goes, oh yeah, no, yeah, these are the other 3 that came down.
Yep, they found us. They told us that you pointed them in our direction.
So does that mean that Axholm is all clear now?
Axholm is all cleared now.
Oh man, you guys are the greatest.
Yes, more of that, please.
All right. Yeah, here. And so he let me see. God damn it. Where the fuck did you'd imagine I would actually have to written down. Yeah, he says, all right, yeah, here's the rewards money that the Sonlinors gave us. And it's 250 gold.
Okay.
He says, yeah, so just so you know, I had listed out there about an escort needed for Don John Raskin. He's getting a little bit impatient. He said he's going to leave tomorrow morning regardless. Do you think you'd be able to escort him up to the gold mine?
Well, I can't speak for everybody, so I'll have to go talk to everybody and get back to you on that.
All right. I just want to make sure that he gets there all right, because, that's going to be a good business deal for the town.
I mean,
what is the DM trying to do?
We'll try to piece something together for him. We'll figure something out.
You guys already knew that you had 3 other quests to handle. He's just now.
Yes.
This is one where I was going to give you this time frame the last time you were in Phandalin, but I figured I would not add to the stress because you already had like 5 things that were digging at you. But now I am putting that stress on you.
Okay.
So while that's going on, the rest of you head to Stonehill Inn. The 3 of you that are new to the town are getting your rooms set up. And Vanadar, you see that one of the Sonlinors is in fact here right now, and it is the one that talked to you that one day about, Moradin always having a purpose for the things that happen to you. This is Feargay.
Okay. I walk up to him and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Young follower of Moradin, it is good to see you again.
I just wanted to check in and let you know that Axholm is clear. It's all back to normal.
And she is gone.
Yep. That's what. Yep, she's gone.
That's what all clear means.
If Iluna sees this, I don't know, tries to get his attention and be like, "Don't you freaking tell him anything."
Yeah, just like, hand under the chin, like, don't tell her, don't tell him about the evil spirit.
I'm super friendly with her.
He looks at you. He has this wide smile on his face, and says, "You see, this is what I mean. You had a bad experience. You turned it around, and you reclaimed it. You reignited that fire within you. I can see the jubilation. I can see the joy in your eyes at this."
It was definitely nice to put that in the win column. I wanted to ask you, how is the conversion of... What is it called?
The Temple of Aberdore.
Yeah. How's the conversion of the Temple of Aberdore going?
It is a slow process, but the dwarves are able to gather the necessary supplies. The tabaxi are able to help us move stuff around. They're becoming good companions to ours. But it will take time. But I know in time it will see a new glory, but Thusoth, the Sonlinor that leads our particular group, he is currently down at the new temple of Moradin. He actually had a request of you when you returned.
Oh yeah? What's that?
Seeing that he had foresaw that you would be able to clear Axholm, reclaim it for us, he was wondering if you would take on a new role down there. You see, we were sent here by the King of Mithril Hall to recreate and to consecrate the Temple of Aberdore. And with the fortress of Axholm now clear of any malevolent spirits, we want to reignite those forges. We want to see that place bustling again, brought back to its former glory, to give the dwarves here a proper place to exist and allow the Sword Mountains to once again shine under the fiery forges of Moradin. Thusoth would like to ask you to head up that operation, to reignite those flames of Axholm once again.
It's actually a little humorous that you would say that, and that the option showed itself, because when I was in Axholm, I had a vision of what it used to be, and it really, it both warmed my heart at how busy it once was, but also kind of depressed me to see the state that it's in now. Stop it, JJ. I feel like I made a little bit of a mistake, and I kind of strayed a little bit away from Moradin's light, and I kind of feel like I need to be reinvigorated by him. So the thought actually occurred to me to see if there's anything that I could do to help build this in his honor. So I humbly accept that offer.
And so he looked at you. He reaches out his hand to shake yours, and he says, "Well then, brother, I will let Fusoff know of your decision. Go and get some rest. Your work starts tomorrow."
All right. I have a couple farewells around town first, but I definitely will. Thank you for the offer once again.
And so we'll say that everyone at this point congregates back at the Stonehill Inn. Everyone who was getting their rooms, Zash, Smith, Iggy, they show back up after talking to Harbin. So the six of you are all standing around.
Well,
like Luna would have observed something there. That's why she was hanging.
Yeah, you definitely heard that.
I feel like Steve was there too. We all went back to the inn together. Yeah.
Yes, but here's the thing. So Albina and Seftis were, getting their rooms and stuff. I imagine Luna was more paying attention to the conversation between Firgeg and Vanadar.
I feel like, again, I'm not trying to like, whatever, but I feel like we kind of forgot about Adabra. So okay, but like you said that everyone's here, everyone's like gathered around.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just gonna let you guys know that you guys well, not all of you, but Zash and Eluna kind of saw my misstep back there yesterday with the dwarven tools. I was thinking about it the entire trip home and seeing how you guys have bigger fish to fry. I think I'm going to stay here and help rebuild the temple in Warden's honor. Just wanted to tell you guys I appreciate...
Zash just kind of cocks his head to the side and looks at Vanadar and blinks a few times. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. I appreciate the companionship and the protection that you guys have given me, and it's a memory that's going to stay at the forefront of my mind, but...
Sir, this is Phandalin?
Yes. Yes, it is.
We were supposed to travel the world together?
Well, I feel like this is where Moradin wants me to be.
After you said you wanted to sell his tools?
I'm not asking you anything, actually. I'm telling you.
Telling us you're going.
Yeah.
And you don't want anybody to join.
I mean, you guys have bigger fish to fry. You guys have to find Cryovane and save the world. I have a different goal in mind.
I have tin to find, maybe.
That's true.
Dragon, so that's fun.
And who knows? Maybe one day our paths will cross once more. But I have obligations here. And I feel like I've already kind of fallen by the wayside once. I don't want to make that same mistake again. And I feel like I need to fortify and rectify my wrongdoings in Moradin's eyes. So I think this is the best option for everyone.
Well,
maybe not everyone, but for me.
Did not see this coming. I feel a little blindsided right now.
I apologize.
Could have told us on the way back.
I
don't think I'm gonna give you the reward gold.
There's been a lot of shocks today.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of news.
Well, I would like to say, I hope you find happiness, but honestly, I don't.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I'm not that petty.
I'm gonna pat him on the head and be like, "Oh, Zash, I'll miss you." But
I wish you all the best on your new adventure.
I appreciate it, and I'm not really one for sobby farewells, so I'm.
Say bye then.
I'm gonna call it a night.
Aren't you gonna say bye to anime then?
What'd you say, Stacey?
Say bye to anime.
Okay, I was getting there. I'm gonna mind link with anime and be like, you take care of this party, you take care of Aluna. Be the guardian that I.
It is going to be a bit difficult trying to communicate without your abilities.
I know. Aluna will learn. It's okay. I'm not worried.
Will she?
One can
I
hope.
hope so. Don't know how.
I'm just gonna scratch anime under his chin. Her. Yes, it's a her.
Was it the southern woman name or voice that gave it away, Tony?
Yes, I'm gonna scratch her under her chin, and I'm gonna give one last wave goodbye, and I'm gonna head upstairs. I have a long day of work tomorrow.
I love how this is like a scene where he's like walking off into the sunset, but he's literally going upstairs to take a nap.
Hopefully he's going up there to die, betraying me like this.
He said he didn't want anything sappy, so
exactly.
So
I do
religious event.
So while I feel that this is an appropriate place to pause, I do have a stopping point I want to get to. So here's my question. We could sort of fast forward through a little bit of this, but what quest are the 5 of you going to take starting to like the next day? Or what are you going to do the next day?
So I guess I would just fill them in on Don John Raskin leaving tomorrow with or without us, and Harbin's pretty pressed for us to escort him. So I guess we could do that.
I don't even know what our choices are.
It was that. It was that, or taking the supplies up to Harbin's brother, and then I think it was the sword.
So yeah, you guys currently have to go up to take the wagon of supplies up to the loggers camp, escort Don John Raskin to the gold mine, go and check on Big Al Calazorn out at his ranch. There's the sword that is located up at the Dragon Barrow that has killed a dragon at one time. And then you also have the rumors of strange magics have been occurring within Neverwinter Wood, and there's a lighthouse out to the west that has been collecting treasure from crashing ships. So your main quest is Butterskull Ranch, the loggers camp, the gold mine, and the Dragon Barrow sword.
And Iluna's heritage.
Well, obviously that's a major character plot line.
It's a new one.
It is a new
I didn't say it wasn't new. I said it's major, and it's a character plot line, not a quest.
Well, it would become I know it's a personal thing.
It very well could become a quest, and I expect it might. But right now, you have these 4 pressing matters.
What is the closest? Well,
what?
I feel Albina is kind of just these other little tasks kind of seem very trivial to her. So she's just itching away to to get to a higher level for the what is it, the knights? I'm trying to remember. The knightly order.
Yeah, the order of the Silver Fang, I believe.
Yeah, and I just I really want to focus on that dragon and not get sidetracked. So she's just very focused, and she's kind of like, okay, this farewell has been taken long enough. We should be resting, getting ready for the next mission.
All right. So, I mean, I know you mentioned about what is the closest. So on here on the map, you can see where those 4 quests are. There's the Mountain Toes Gold Mine, the Loggers Camp, the Dragon Bear, and Butterskull Ranch.
I think it's the gold mine is the closest, right?
That is.
Yeah, which is the one with the most pressing time restraint on it at the moment.
That sounds like it's outdated.
The escort.
Yeah. So, you guys want to do the mines next time?
Yep. Sounds alright.
All right.
Alright, then I'll head over.
Like guys do this.
Yeah.
So the next morning, the 6 of you wake up. Banazar, you head off down to Axholm with Feargag. The 2 of you are going to start on rebuilding that place. The 5 of you, though, you are currently in the Stonehill Inn, and sitting at one of the tables when you all arrive is. Let me see if I should have this picture here for you.
Can't wait to see Don John.
Me.
Don John Raskin.
Oh, where the fuck is he? There he is. You see this man.
Even better.
And says, "Morning, you gonna be the ones taking me up that mountain?"
Looks that way.
I've been waiting here for a couple of days. I imagine you'd be coming by sometime. I got onto that tubby old fat guy out in the hall about getting me an escort up there, so I appreciate you finally showing your asses up.
Yeah, well, we had just a little bit bigger fish to fry, as a old friend would say.
Yeah, I heard about that. Something about a fortress down there, Screamer Banshee and whatnot. You sound like right good folk here.
Yeah, just some crazy PBS and bitch. We took care of her, though.
Sorry, he says, well, sun's moving, we're moving. Why don't we get going? We can get out there and be a good time on it, all right? I can tell you a couple of my stories from my time being an adventurer like yourselves.
Honestly, I have such a bad headache that I think silence is the key to this trip.
Oh, well, you see, I can talk real quiet now. Keep telling them the story. It'll be nice and quick.
I'll hear your stories.
Yeah, Zash is just gonna march ahead, like, way ahead.
Bina's not having it either. You'd be well to remember we want silence on this trip. And I'm going ahead with Zash.
All right.
Damn.
So, I learned that he does divulge a few stories to you along the way, but as you're making your way out of Phandalin, you're heading along the pathway towards the gold mine. You start passing through an area of more densely populated trees. It's beginning to get a little bit thicker. There is some like wet earth, a bit of a swampier area. And that is whenever you hear the sounds of battle ahead. And Tony, do you want me to show them the picture that I shared to you, or what?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, cool, because I figured that was going to be the case. So, ahead of you, you see the sight of somebody that is fighting a troll and a couple of mud-covered, small, demon-looking creatures. I will show you all the pictures here in just a hot second.
This one off, not off, but I guess general question. Can we silence like allies and things like that with our command?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. They can also resist it though too. So
any ability.
And they'll be aware.
Any ability you have, unless it specifically says enemy, can target allies.
All right, so you see this creature, and it is surrounded by about by about 8 of these creatures.
Oh no, he's got a sniffer on him.
Fighting them, you see a dark-haired man that is trying to fight them back, and as he's getting pushed back more and more, all of a sudden you see him trace out a sigil in the air, and it almost looks as if he's creating points of light that are connected by thin lines of light, and all of a sudden his entire form changes into that of looking like he is made of stars and constellations. And that is where we're going to call it for the night.
Oh, snap.
And you will get to meet Tony's new character next week.
Oh, snap. Okay,
Wait, that's
real
Tony's
quick.
character?
Yeah, it's
it is Tony's new character.
Yeah, it's my new character.
Real quick, everybody add 41 gold and 66 copper to your inventory. That was the reward for the quest we finished.
How many copper?
66.
Where is this all located?
If you go to your equipment, in the top right corner, you should see currency, and you can just click on that.
That's also a question I wanted to ask.
What's that?
Well, Steve's character at least had no money on him. Was he supposed to start with 0?
So because we went with the background that he has, I'll reach out to him. I'll reach out to him separately, because I also have to reach out to Tony about a similar thing. So
yeah.
But yeah, I'll message everyone out. But
just had a long rest too, did they not?
yes,
yeah.
everyone would be long rested at this point. So go ahead and make sure you mark that on your character sheet that you got a long rest.
Okay. Can we repeat the currency that we're adding?
41 gold and 66 copper.
66.